the WA, and I know I'm far away from home, but this feels like home because I'm amongst many amazing sisters, not only on the panel, but, you know, across the room, and brothers as well. You know, we see you supporting us, so thank you. Appreciate it. Karaoke, not a big fan. Absolutely not. But look, I've got an 18-month-old, incredible, adorable nephew, and he loves Coco Melon songs. And his favourite is Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, and I can bust that right now, and it's really good. But that's all from me.
That's a hard one to top.
Yeah, I don't know how to top Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. Good evening, everybody. Really great to be here, and apologies again for running late. So I came straight from the airport, and I also acknowledge, as my fellow speakers have done, the traditional custodians of the land that we meet today. Really great to be back on a new ground where I feel a really big affinity, not only as a student, not only as a master's student, not only as a former alumni, but also I loved it so much that I came back and worked here for 6 years, and then of course we finally get to meet in person.
We do.
We've done a Zoom and we've corresponded a lot, but we finally get to meet in person. So thank you, and it's wonderful to be here. Karaoke was the most important part. So I was thinking about this, gave it a lot of thought, and I was tossing up between I've got old school K-pop, so like 90s K-pop. But I'm going to have to go with a bit of Madonna, I think. And,
Can't top that. So, but colleagues, I thought before we start off with our conversation, I do want to, if that's okay, give the floor to Fatima for 5 minutes, given that it is her first event as a senator, and we do have some fans tuning in from Perth. We do acknowledge that. And also, you know, others as well who've joined us today. So I appreciate the generosity of you all to allow that. And the floor is yours, Fatima.
Thank you.
I've got to stick to 5 minutes. With politicians, punctuality is key, and you know, timing is all that matters. But where does my story begin? You guys might be thinking. Some of you may have read about me, and now you see me in flesh. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I was born in Kabul, and during the invasion, or should I say, the moment that, you know, Afghanistan turned upside down, in the late 1990s when the Taliban took over, my grandfather was a member of parliament, and so obviously as a head of authority, he was headhunted, and so my family had to flee to Pakistan, seek refuge. And you know, the constant back and forth of the instability that my family experienced was something that, you know, propelled Mum, when she was heavily pregnant, to get her husband to just leave the country, just find a safe haven for himself, his wife, 2 daughters, and a baby on the way. And that's when Dad decided to just jump on the boat, not knowing where it's going to take him, and risked his life for 11 nights until he came up the shores of Perth. And after 4 long years of working around the clock and making sure that he saved enough to be able to sponsor his family, he, you know, got us to jump on a plane, and we were able to come and reunite. And I remember as an 8-year-old kid, it felt like coming home, like reuniting with the family. It's really tough not having your dad in those prime years, and it's still, I just don't know how my mum did it, not being able to hear about my dad's well-being. Fast forward a few years, you know, you are in a foreign land with foreign language, and you just learn to, you know, pick up the culture. I was lucky to be at an Islamic college where, you know, people around me sort of looked like me and different cultural backgrounds, and you just grow up in this safe bubble. Until certain events happened, and it made me realize that people look at me differently. And it made me think, oh, I didn't realize racism was a thing. I took myself as an Australian, But not until a man at the shops was like, go back to where you came from. And I was like, what do you mean? I've been living here most of my life. All my friends are here, my family's here, you know. What do you mean go back home? And I think there were certain events that happened that really gave me that burning desire to change the narrative. You know, the Sydney siege happened in 2014. It was my first year at uni, and I was in a seminar like this, and you know, you have to, as a first year student, you got to get up and introduce yourself. And I was like, hey guys, I'm doing biomedical science, and you know, that nerdy kid who looked like a potato. But this guy got up and he's like, so do you have a bomb under that thing on your head? And I was like, no. But the fact that he even asked that question made me realise, how did you even make it to university without like, if I did, you wouldn't be alive, mate. So then, a few years later, in 2017, Senator Pauline Hanson pulled a stunt inside the chambers of the Senate that really shook Australia, where kids in the playground, you know, started calling their Asian friends Asian and African friends African, and there was this division that started in our playgrounds. And it was 2017 when my dad got acute myeloid leukemia, and I was at the hospital visiting him, sitting by his bedside, and I would see people look at me differently. You would get stares walking down the halls in the hospital. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. So unfortunately, we lost Dad 11 months later. And being the eldest of 4 children, I had to take care of the finances, look after Mum, make sure the house was running. And that made me realise Dad's struggles. Like at the age of 47, passing away, having worked every trade under the sun, from kitchen hand to taxi driver, Uber driver, security guard, painter at one point. Like, he just wanted to make ends meet. He wanted to put food on the table. He wanted to ensure that his kids had an education that he didn't have or he wasn't able to, just so that we could have a better future. He didn't know what a union was. He was abused at work. He was discriminated. He put up with it because he had a family to feed. But what he would tell me growing up was, vote for the Labour Party. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the Labour Party is, but... And he'd be like, they stand for working class people like us. And so I was in the medical field in terms of, you know, studying pharmacy and whatnot, so I was like, yeah, politics isn't for me, until my journey began as I met an upper house member at an event that I was hosting, and he introduced me not only to the political space, but also unionism. And that's when I was like, you know, meeting workers from all different industries, I was like, I see my dad's struggles reflected in their lives. Like, this is across the board. This wasn't just my dad's struggles. And I think there's that one turning point where you're like, you know what, I've got to put my foot down and actually do something about it. When I was at a seminar of like, you know, it was an event of like about 200 people, mostly white people, and I hope people don't mind me saying that, but you know, a senior lady came up to me and she was like, so how do you fit in all this? And I was like, okay. She comes to the only girl who wears the hijab amongst the 200 people and asks, how do you fit in all this? Lady, I'm a delegate. I'm the secretary of this so-and-so branch, and I have all rights to be here as you do. And firstly, she was really astounded that I knew fluent English. I'm like, oh, surprise, surprise. And secondly, she was like, oh, like she's qualified. I'm like, yeah, don't be judging people. But that just indicated that if we don't go out there, educate people, share our stories, talk to people, they'll just look at you and be like, poor migrant, you know, it's okay. Like, I wonder if you probably work at, you know, some factory and you don't even know your rights, and yeah, feel sorry for you. No. And I think seeing this congregation tonight is so empowering, because you're not only seeking education, but you are very qualified people in your own respective rights. And it fills my heart with joy to be able to be here as a new senator, but also somebody that can learn so much from you all. Because I'm here in a listening capacity. I want to know the struggles, and I want to know your stories, and I want to be able to share those stories in a platform that we can work on legislation that will impact our lives and the lives of our children and the future generations to come. And so, yeah, I put my hand up for, number 3 on the ticket, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to win it. I'm only 27. What are the odds? And my boss was like, yeah, it's just good experience. And WA did so incredibly well with, fantastic. And when I was elected, I was like, no, this is not happening. But I told my boss, I was like, I didn't sign up for this, what? But no, I've had immense support from colleagues, from the union movement, because it was United Workers Union that, have been there throughout this journey for me, and I owe that to them for everything, for every, earlier we talked about emotional crutch. Man, I needed that through the campaign period. It was tough, and I think we'll be talking a lot about that tonight, because we need to ensure that barriers are removed or it's normalised. Seeing people like us sitting in front of you on this panel should be normal. So that one day when I'm like, oh my God, this happened. The first hijabi Muslim girl entered Parliament. And the same chambers that Senator Hanson made those comments. And I'm not going to remind us of the comments, it wasn't really nice. But look, she's probably got her own story, and I'd really love to get to know her, because we all do. We all have our stories. But look, I've spoken way too long. I'll give it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima, but also thank you to our